In December of last year, Paramount Pictures released Damien Chazelle's Babylon, with an incredible cast of A-list actors including Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, and Tobey Maguire. The star power was there. But what was anticipated to be another hit for Chazelle and the studio ended up falling flat at the box office. The studio had invested $78 million on the production of the movie, but only made back $63 million. And with everything involved in the marketing and other costs, this number is probably way bigger than it appears. And to make matters worse, the movie was hit with polarizing reviews from critics and viewers alike. It scored pretty decently on IMDB with a 7.2 out of 10, but fell short with its Rotten Tomatoes score of only 56%. But perhaps behind its pitfalls lies a hidden gem. Was it misunderstood? Was it mismarketed? Or did it flat out miss the mark completely? Let's find out in our analysis of 2021's Babylon. There are three major reasons why Babylon ended up failing at the box office, and partly in its reception as well. The first reason is when it was released. Babylon ended up coming out on December 23rd, a day before Christmas Eve, and about a week after one of the biggest movies in the past decade, Avatar: The Way of Water. Competing against a giant movie like that definitely hindered the success of the movie. Number 2 is the length. Unfortunately, longer is not always better. Babylon clocked in at around 3 hours and 9 minutes. And sadly, not only do the vast majority of people not want to sit through a movie of that length, but because of its length, it had a limited number of showtimes. It also didn't help that it was battling against Avatar, which was also another very long movie, but one with much more appeal and popularity. While I personally like longer movies if it's necessary, I know many people do not. And number 3 is the marketing. The final reason is probably one of the more interesting ones. As wild and crazy as the movie can be in its 3 hours, it's really hard to fully put it in a trailer that really shows off what the movie is all about. But what really didn't help is how the trailer almost made it seem like a comedy. In an effort to appeal to the masses, it ended up working against the movie because it portrayed it as something that it simply wasn't. Not to mention, it wasn't as well advertised, which is pretty standard for a lot of movies that aren't just full-blown blockbusters. So let's talk about the actual movie for a second. Just a heads up, I will be covering a few major plot points, so if you haven't seen the movie, there is a spoiler alert warning now. So one of the main problems that people had with the movie was the 3-hour runtime and how a portion of it was filled with quote-unquote fluff, as some people called it. And while I agree that about 45 minutes could have been chopped from this movie, many of the scenes are important, even if on the surface level they don't appear to be. The movie is told from 3 different perspectives, each representing the different facets of classic Hollywood. These characters are played by Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, and Diego Calva. The acting is absolutely incredible from the main leads. In my opinion, this is one of Margot Robbie's best performances. Brad Pitt is extremely charismatic as a classic Hollywood star, and Diego Calva's performance adds a bit of humility and normalcy to the crazy film star life they portray. The film follows their rise and eventual fall as they discover the sad reality of the Hollywood cycle. And underneath the extravagant moments, this is the underlying premise. It's a content on the cycle of Hollywood, the literal and metaphorical death of stardom and fame and fortune. How quickly someone can be at the top and come crashing down even to their death. That's exactly what happens to 2 out of the 3 main characters. Jack Conrad goes from being the biggest movie star in the world to ending his own life alone in a hotel bathroom, completely out of frame. Nellie Leroy also meets the same fate of death, but just like her career and relevance, she vanishes into the darkness, never to be seen again. There's so much symbolism in what appears to be a random collage of parties and movie sets throughout the film. Another truly memorable but strange scene is when they meet Tobey Maguire's character, James McKay. One thing that really makes this scene stand out from the others in this movie is the intense shift of tone. The entirety of the movie is mostly comedy and some drama, but when they follow his character down into the depths of an underground dungeon freak show, the tone switches to horror in an instant. What I take this scene as is that they have truly transcended into the underbelly of fame, stardom, and Hollywood. The deeper they go, the more horrific sights they see, and it's all red, similar to a darkroom, one of the earliest forms of picture development, but also red universally always means danger. But perhaps my favorite part of the entire movie, and probably the most iconic, is the film montage sequence at the very end. An explosion of colors, music, video, pictures, and everything in between. As Manny sits in the theater with a bunch of other people, he watches a montage of everything he knew and everything that's coming on the horizon. During the sequence, we see oil blots spreading in liquid and solid colors appearing on the screen. I take this as the introduction to color in movies. After we see a collage of different movies and images appear on screen, some of which include movies like Avatar, which are far ahead of when the actual scene takes place. It's almost like Damien Chazelle is showing us how far we've come and how fast the future of cinema and art is coming, yet nothing has changed. The idea of fading stars continues, even if the times are not what they used to be. All in all, I thoroughly enjoyed Babylon, and if you're a movie lover like me, it really sticks with you. It's a little on the longer side, I will admit, and perhaps 45 minutes or so could have been trimmed. But there's a lot more to the movie than meets the eye. A poetic way to put it is that this film is Damien Chazelle's love letter and suicide note to movies and Hollywood in general, and I think that's a good way of putting it. Ultimately, if you love movies, this is definitely worth checking out. It is a hidden gem in my opinion, and it was extremely underrated when it came out. I think a lot of the reasons that it failed are out of its control, and Damien Chazelle was at the top of his craft in this movie, and it's easy to sort of overlook that. But if you're willing, give it another shot, you won't be disappointed. If you like this analysis and want to see more, please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification button for more. Thank you very much for the support, and see you in the next video.